guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, HOA put a lien on my property and gave me $10,000 fine for supporting the military. Summary. As a former military man, in a new neighborhood, I decided to have a military support banner in my front yard, but apparently, the HOA wasn't as happy with this as I was. They tried convincing me to take it down by sending me a lot of fines, which I didn't pay. Their next move was filing a lien on me and trying to foreclose the property. That was the moment when I decided to sue them. In the end, everything worked amazing for us. We ended up winning, keeping the banner, and also adding a big US flag right beside it. The HOA president resigned, and the association was restructured. After years of serving in the army, I finally decided to move with my family to a better neighborhood, and get the rest I needed in a more beautiful place. After months of searching and looking, we found a lovely place, full of nature, beautiful houses, and what seemed like good neighbors. We didn't think too much and we got to the place, and after only a few days my wife came up with a good idea. I was thinking of having the military support banner in the front yard. I think you deserve it, and it would look really good. And I really liked the idea, so we just did it. I never thought this could annoy or offend anyone in any way. Not too many days have passed and we received a fine from the homeowner association regarding the banner. The HOA specified that the sign was an eyesore and that we should take it down. I didn't understand the logic behind it, but I thought it was very funny and I ran and read it to my wife. It's truly funny, but we're not taking it down, I said to my wife. And we're not paying the fine either, she replied. The next day, when I was out in the front yard, admiring the banner, and the front yard itself, a man passed by me on the street, the first neighbor I was going to talk to. Hello, I also served in the army, he said looking at the banner, but we're not allowed to have these banners, just be aware of that, he added. Oh, I know, I received a fine yesterday because of it, I replied smiling. I'm sorry, I suppose you came to take it down. No way, it's my right to have it here if I want to. Freedom of speech was still a thing last time I checked, I replied laughing. I support that, and I respect your courage, but as I said, be aware, if you're not paying the fine, they'll keep sending them. I just don't think it's worth it. I had taken down my banner after the first fine. And as the neighbor said, the HOA kept sending fines, but we never paid them. During this time, we found out that there are multiple military families in the neighborhood, also angry about the situation, and supporting us, which made me keep my guard up. Fines started coming almost daily, the HOA being more aggressive than we could have ever been with our support banner. I let them send as many as they wanted, but I really got angry when they filed a lien on us and tried to foreclose our property, and that was the moment I decided to sue them. I thought about it a little, was it worth suing them? But I decided it was, so I did it. Fortunately, we had the support of the other military families in the neighborhood. We paid together for all the legal fees, as this was something they also wanted to achieve. They encouraged and supported us with everything they could, and so we were able to keep going. We're going to win, I'm sure of it, were the words my wife told me every day. And all I can say is that she was right, we won. It was a very happy moment for myself, my family, and also for all the other military families in the neighborhood. It was a win I never knew I needed, which made it far greater. To make the win as obvious as possible, we started placing military support banners in each of these families' front yards, and also, for the fun of it, we decided to also add some big US flags, right beside the banners. The best news came a few days after, the HOA president resigned and the association got restructured, which I loved. I finally felt like the right thing was done. I told you, said my wife right after we got the good news. The next story is entitled Homeowner Says Tree Expert is Wrong. Here's a bit of a backstory to this story. My job causes me to deal with Karens on a regular basis. This is one that sticks out. I do vegetation management for power companies. Basically, this means that I trim, remove trees so that the power lines stay clear. As a result, I have to deal with trees in yards. Each power company has their own spec that we have to meet. I have worked in this industry for nearly 6 years now. One of the first things we need to learn other than safe saw operation, is tree species identification. At the time of this story I have worked there for about 3 years. It was during the middle of February in a cold climate. We had stopped at this house where the tree in the yard was just inches away from the power line. We consider these hazard trees. The tree was a willow. Willows are fast-growing trees, and since it was February it had no leaves on it, and we figured it would contact the phase when it leafed out. We talked to the lady, the Karen of the story, and told her what we needed to do. We were trimming for a power cooperative, let's call this power company A, PCA. She was mad at us because she did now get her power from PCA. She told us to tell our boss to bury the line. I had politely explained to her that we are just contracted by PCA and that getting the line buried was something she needed to work out with them. After a little bit we talked her into doing the work after highlighting the dangers of having the tree that close to the line. We then go get set up, get the chipper into place and start trimming. Karen comes running out of the house and screams at me. What are you doing trimming this tree in the dead of winter? You're supposed to wait until summer. You're going to kill it. The best time to trim trees is when they are dormant. I explained to her that we needed to trim the tree now because if it leafed out it could make contact with the line. At this point she decided to yell at me for other trees that have died and been removed in the past. I walk with her to her front yard, keeping her distracted and away from my coworker who was trimming the tree. She then starts yelling at me for how the willows in the front yard looks because we keep marking it flat. I told her that this is not our line, that it was Power Company B, a for-profit company in the area. I told her that PCB had a different policy on trimming trees and that it doesn't have any effect on what we do. After this I'm able to convince her that her tree will be just fine and she goes into the house. After about 15 minutes my coworker takes off a full lead from the tree. I am able to reach it from the ground, so I grab my saw and slice off the stub left. It was 3 feet long and 4 inches across. Karen then storms back out of the house and yells that was uncalled for. I said more, then asked, "You wanted that left there? It would have been an eyesore." She yells more about how we are killing the tree. I assure her that willows are extremely resilient. I told her we could cut it to the ground, and it would grow back in 10 years. It's hard to kill a willow if you want to. Now she's going on a verbal rampage and becoming very rude and personally attacking us. Telling us we cut enough and that she has lived here for 40 years, and we don't have a right to do it. I was as polite as I could be with her. We told her we have to get 10 feet, and if she didn't stop I was going to get a tape measure out and we would take exactly 10 feet and leave it look like whatever it will. After this she turns and takes 2 steps for her door, turns back to me and says, "Oh, it's not a willow tree. It's a planted tree." Then storms back to the house. I looked up at my coworker and asked him, "What's a planted tree?" We just started laughing at the absurdity of what she said. For the next year we called every willow tree a planted tree. The next story is titled, Karen Blocks Homeowners to Get Into Their Homes. Hi, this is a story from one of my mother's friends. She lives in a private residential complex. This is something similar to an HOA in America, but not exactly. This is a number of houses, possibly built on the land of a single person, with a walled enclosure, and that can be accessed through a main gate. The people who buy houses there usually have to pay some money monthly to the residential complex administration. I live in one of these, but we don't pay anything because there is not such organization in the complex where I live, because everybody hates each other and can't organize. These residential complexes are quite common in my country. My mom has a friend who lives in a private residential complex in my city. She told us once the story about a Karen who was the president of the complex administration. This Karen would constantly harass the homeowners for the monthly payments, and everybody hated her for that. The thing is that, this Karen would give specific instructions to the security guards on the main gate, to do not let in any owner who have a delay in payment. Yes, she expects the owners to pay on time, or wouldn't let them get in their homes. Also, wouldn't let anyone in after 10 p.m., no matter if they are up to the payment or not. My mom's friend has a daughter in school. One day, the daughter came back from school, but when she got to the main gate, there was Karen, and she would not let the child in, because the mom had a 1-day delay on the payment. The child ended up going to her grandma's house, until the mom could pick her up and take her home. One day, everybody was tired of Karen, so they gathered, and took the entire gate down, leaving it free for anyone to come in. Also, they were preparing to sue Karen. I don't know what happened next, but I think my mom's friend moved out somewhere else, even since. The next story is titled, House Full of Karens Wants to Tear Up a Home Because They Are Getting Evicted. I 27, female, and my husband 29, male, finally after 3 years are able to purchase a home here in the Northwest, United States. We found the home of our dreams, but it was tenant occupied with their lease expiring. The homeowner was getting older and wanted to sell the home instead of renting it. The tenants were given an 18-month notice to vacate so he could list it unless they wanted to purchase it from him for $50,000 in monthly payments. They stated, they didn't want the responsibility of owning and fixing a home, they are more comfortable with renting. They rented the home from him for 15 years and they were offered the home for 1/8 the price we paid for it, and 1/12 the value. Well, after 18 months he listed and we went under contract, giving 4 months till closing. 2 of the 5 roommates left and the other 3 were a couple and their 21-year-old daughter. The inspector came after giving them a 1-week notice and they caused nothing but havoc. They trashed the fireplace and entire home, ruined the HVAC, stained the floors, put holes in the carpet and walls, and left the garden hose on so water gets in the crawl space under the home. It was a mess, but the inspector noted everything. Now comes the fun part. The tenants refused to pay their utilities and asked if the homeowner would extend their lease since it was their daughter's childhood home. The homeowner refused and shown them the contract and the damages. They complained that they should have been given the home since they rented so long, but the homeowner said tough noodles. The tenant couple vacated when the homeowner shown the eviction documents but left their 21-year-old daughter. She requested that when we purchased the home if we could be her roommates and put her on the title. We laughed and said no. She blamed us, stating we took her home from her and it's our fault she has to leave. I sympathized and said, we understood it was her childhood home, but y'all had every opportunity to purchase it and didn't. She stated to the homeowner that she would fight the VA for our home loan and make us pay for her mortgage since as veterans we owe it to her. We ignored it. After a few weeks, 1 month before closing to be exact, the appraiser and inspector came by and she barricaded herself in the master bedroom. After given $50 from the homeowner, she left the home for the day and it was a mess. Clothes and trash piled everywhere, pizza boxes stacked to the ceiling, and the stench of rotting food made the inspector have to put on his mask. They finished their job and the homeowner had repaired everything on the list, $52,000 worth, except inside the master bedroom. The week before closing, the last tenant left. Come to find out, she already had another apartment for months but just wanted to trash the place so we would back out. The homeowner hired professional cleaners and it took 4 days to clean and sanitize that room. We just got the keys and discovered the last tenant had ripped drywall off in the master bathroom, put screws down the garbage disposal and crushed the garage door opener when the previous homeowner reset the code. She left us a note that said she expects us to give her the security deposit amount as compensation when the previous homeowner gave her parents it back in full to get them to leave. Edit. The previous owner did $52,000 of repairs, renovations including new HVAC, AC, new floors, paint, roof repaired, house painted, new bathrooms, new countertops, appliances, washer, dryer, new electrical wiring throughout the house, new garage insulation and new drywall throughout the entire garage, new garage door, new windows, etc. There are a few things left, but it isn't too bad considering all the repairs are less than a year old. The next story is titled, Roommate Steals My Car and Can't Understand Why She Can't Just Come Back to Live Here. I rent from a homeowner with my preteen child. Homeowner let his daughter move in after some legal trouble. Mainly to get her life back together. She had been through rehab, more than once, and no longer drinks. Now, this is no teenager. This is a 40-year-old woman with more than 1 college degree and held down good jobs in the past. Now, she is jobless and cleans the house in exchange for rent. Everything was going well. At first, she liked smoking here and had a medical card. I don't care. But that progressed into smoking a lot and we know it evolved into other drugs. I don't know what, but had some ideas. She started getting weird and mean and very paranoid. My car was in the shop so I had a loaner car. I walked out front the day after I got the loaner and it was gone. She stole it. She was caught that evening 300 miles away in another state. I also found out she had stolen several $100s from me and also her dad. Many other things were also stolen. Well, she got out of jail and made her way back to our city. She is trying to justify her taking my car because she supposedly had to do something for her dad. Neither of them has vehicles of their own. Something he told her not to do anyway. She denies stealing any money or all the other bad things she did. No remorse. Not even an apology. We are also sure she has not quit the drugs. If she has, we know it won't be long before she starts again. She absolutely cannot understand why she can't just come back and live here. All I know is that she better not show up here. I will not hesitate to call the police at the first sight of her. Edit to clarify. I rent 2 rooms in the house from the homeowner. He still lives here. I called the police the minute I saw the car stolen. She was caught in another state. Charges were dismissed and may be refiled. That is out of my hands. The last story is titled, Previous Homeowner Doesn't Like Me Undoing Her Gardening. TL, Doctor. Old homeowner doesn't want me to change her stuff. Background. I bought a house a few months ago and I've been slowly changing things to what I like. One such major category is the weird gardening with randomly placed plants in the yard. Also, I met the previous owners once before when they stopped over and the nice husband was showing me where some stuff was. I was painting the downstairs and the wife was annoyed because we just painted this. Anyway, fast forward to last weekend. I just finished uprooting a small tree in the front yard when I see an SUV pull up to the yard line. It's entitled Lady, L, and her husband, HH. HH. Oh, you didn't like the tree, huh? Me. Nah, it's not really my style. L. Angrily. We just planted that last year. Me. Well, it's also annoying when I have to go around it to mow the lawn. Why I felt the need to justify this I had no idea. L. We'll take it back then. Me. Fine. Do you want a garbage bag or something, so you don't get your car dirty? HH. No, you can just throw it in the back. Opens the hatch to reveal the seats are already folded down with plastic covering ready to go. L. Are you getting rid of that other tree we just planted in the front? Me. No. L. Still sitting in the front seat of the car, mind you. Well, if you're getting rid of anything else nice you better call us. Me. Sure. HH. Rambles on about how they lived here for 40 blah years. Then they left, probably to creep by again this weekend in case I'm pulling anything else out. Oh, and I totally killed the roots on that tree while uprooting it. Thank you for listening.